Hello everyone, Jai Hind and welcome to the platform of StudyIQ IAS in English. When it comes to US-Iran war or the West Asian crisis, so that has led lots of Asian nations to rethink about their energy perspectives or the energy programs. Now, I'm talking about India as well as China as well. Majorly, we'll be talking about China in this session. But at the same time, when it comes to India as well, when we look towards the West Asian crisis, that that gives us the opportunity so that we can diversify our energy means. And at the same time, when it comes to the China is moving ahead with its nuclear pivot. Now, why I'm talking about this is because the current perspective is that the China is set to commission 7 nuclear reactors in 2026 alone. And it will mark the fastest build-out in the history alongside with major fusion energy milestones that the China is achieving. China has, as per our news, it has installed nuclear capacity that has now reached about 125 gigawatt, and this is the highest globally. However, this is the installed capacity, but at the same time, when it comes to generational capacity, so it is not generating at the 100% capacity right now, and that makes it the third largest nation that develops its power or generates the power through nuclear means. Still now, US is at the top. At the same time, it operates 60 commercial reactors as of now. And it has already 36 of the nuclear reactors which are under construction, and 16 more had been approved. So when it comes to the fusion, so it is also scaling fusion research through its 2 of the projects, that is East project as well as West project, that are there in Hefei. So this is the major core issue when it comes to this, that when it comes to the Asian powers, they are seeking right now a reliable as well as domestic low carbon energy sources, and the nuclear energy it provides with the very good alternative as well. The nuclear power reduces the dependence on the imported hydrocarbons. When it comes to the imported hydrocarbons mix of India or China, so India imports nearly about 90% of its crude oil requirement, and at the same time, when it comes to China is also a major importer. So that is the imported hydrocarbon. They are vulnerable to the geopolitics that we have seen in the case of West Asian crisis. At the same time, the fusion research where China is spearheading and it is moving forward with, it reflects the long-term strategic autonomy that it will have in the energy sector as well. Now, when it comes to the energy sovereignty, over here you can see that the vulnerable paradigm is that we have, the China or India, both of them, they are dependent upon the Middle East for the oil and gas. There are extreme vulnerabilities in the supply chain, and the total transport dependency is very high. There are high geopolitical exposure that we have seen in 1980s as well during the Gulf War, and even right now during the West Asian crisis. And also they are carbon heavy base load, the emissions are quite high. But at the same time, when it comes to the nuclear power, so there is the domestic fission as well as fusion technology that will be developed by China. There is zero maritime exposure, highly localized loop for the power generation and logistics as well. There is total domestic control, and they are carbon-free base load power generation that the nuclear power projects or the nuclear energy has. When it comes to the dimension of the nuclear energy in China, so the China have diversified its reactors. All right. When it comes to the reactors, there are small modular reactors which are Linglong 1 or ACP100. They are undergoing the non-nuclear steam startup in Henan, engineered for the direct localized coal plant replacement. At the same time, when it comes to the second type of the nuclear plants, they are high temperature gas cooled or HTGR type of reactors. They had been paired with a hualongone architecture to generate the massive scale of the industrial heat. And then there are thorium conversion as well, where there are the molten salt reactors which achieves thorium-uranium conversion, operating entirely independent of the traditional uranium supply lines. When it comes to the 2 of the most important experiments that the China is conducting, the one is the best experiment that is there in Hefei. All right, this is the first artificial sun, the burning plasma experimental superconducting tokamak, and it is located in Hefei. There are toroidal magnetic fields. Along with this, there are poloidal magnetic fields. Now, over here, what happens is that the heating plasma, it is using the external energy sources to observe that there are sustained steady state reactions which are there. And over here, this is still in the experimenting phase, and the China aims that there will be actual burning of deuterium, tritium plasma, where the fusion reaction, it will sustain its own heat to demonstrate that there is the net power gain. This is still in the experimenting phase and it will be functional by 2030. At the same time, when it comes to the East Tokamak, so this is already there and it has achieved several of the milestones. When it comes to the East Tokamak, the East or HT7U, it began operations in 2006. The first tokamak with the superconducting toroidal and poloidal magnets were conducted, or it was made. In 2021, May, it has reached an electron temperature of 120 million degrees Celsius for 101 seconds. Then in April 2023, it achieved the world's first 403 second steady state hydrogen mode plasma, and then on January 20th, 2025, it shattered the previous records by sustaining plasma for massive 1066 seconds, and in January 2026, it has achieved unprecedented line average electron density via ECRH assisted startup in the density free regime. So the East Tokamak, it is basically where they are experimenting with the plasma, and then they will be moving ahead with the best tokamak. That both of them, they are located in Hefei, and that is how the China is experimenting with the nuclear fusion as well. Now, this nuclear fusion will be the future of the energy. Why this will be the future of the energy? Because there are the superconducting magnetic coils which contains and stabilizes 120 million degrees Celsius plasma without any kind of physical degradation. There is deuterium tritium fuel cycle that will be used in best tokamak, and this will be sourced infinitely from just water and lithium. This will eliminate the necessity of the imported oil, gas, or even the enriched uranium for the production of the energy or electricity. At the same time, there is a closed loop. Infinite baseline power would be generated entirely and securely within the sovereign borders, and that is why when it comes to the fusion energy, this is the future of the energy. And when it comes to the international, experiments, so there is an international experiment as well that is called as ITER, or International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, that is being funded and operated by 4 of the members. These, not 4, 7 member parties. Which are the 7 member parties? There is China, there is EU, that is European Union. India is also a part of it. Along with this, we have Japan, Russia, South Korea, and even USA. When it comes to ITER, there are cooperation agreements that have been signed with Australia, Canada, Kazakhstan, and Thailand as well. So this would be again a nuclear fusion-based reactor that will be conducted or that will be manufactured, and there are various experiments which are ongoing right now. Now, when it comes to the future nuclear power, you can see right now the China would be at the top. All right, it is aggravating and it is accelerating its nuclear power programs. Then there would be USA, then France, Russia, and India. These are the future projections by the nuclear capacity that each of the different country will have in the future. Now, when it comes to the nuclear power, yes, they have more, both the sides of the coin. That is, there are certain things which are beneficial or advantageous. At the same time, there is the disadvantage of the nuclear energy as well. Now, when it comes to the pros, so the nuclear energy, it provides with a reliable base load power. All right, and also there are very low when it comes to the carbon emission. So operational carbon emissions are very, very low. There is also reduced energy import vulnerability because this does not depend upon oil or the gas, and there are strategic and technological gains when it comes to the nuclear energy. And that is why we are moving ahead and we have already achieved criticality when it comes to the stage 2 of the India's nuclear program. That is, we have achieved criticality at the fast breeder reactor, prototype fast breeder reactor that is located at, that is located in India. At the same time, when it comes to the cons or the disadvantage, so there are, so most importantly, when it comes to these reactors, accident and safety risk are there. Especially, we have seen various nuclear accidents which had been, or they have left a very long generational traumas and disabilities, and that is the main risk when it comes to the nuclear energy. Also, there is waste disposal uncertainty. They are capital intensive. That is, more of the capital or the money is required to build the reactors, and also the time overruns. And they are opaque governance that can weaken the legitimacy of the nuclear energy as well. So these are the pros and cons of the nuclear energy. But at the same time, there are certain policy lessons that India can learn from the Chinese experiments. All right, the first one is that when it comes to the safety enclosures, they have to be strengthened. There have to be an independent regulator when it comes to the nuclear energy field in India, and also public communication should be there, because the trust that is built, that is the foundation for laying down the nuclear energy in any region. We should integrate nuclear energy with the renewables as well, with the storage, smart grids and the life cycle waste planning. At the same time, we should ensure that there is proper local consultation that happens. All right, when it comes to the nuclear plants, so there are various concerns that the localities have, and they have to be dealt with the local consultation, rehabilitation and ecological safeguards and fair compensation mechanism that has to be included in the nuclear regime. At the same time, we should promote diversified regional energy mixes as well, and we should pilot with the small modular reactors wherever it is viable. And also, we should do periodic audits, emergency drills and parliamentary oversight. These are very important for any nuclear kind of the environment that we want to build in. We should also be very much, we must be very much strategic, as well as we must accelerate the India's 3-stage development program when it comes to the nuclear energy. And we should invest in thorium, fusion and advanced materials, and even in human capital. So these are the lessons that India can have, the policy lessons that we can learn. So that would be all in this session or in this video. You can reach out to me on my Telegram, that is in front of you. You can scan the QR code for the Telegram channel, or you can even search for me at @bhanwar_studyiq, and then you can join me on my Telegram channel. So that would be all. But at the same time, before moving ahead and ending the session, let me tell you that if you are preparing for the UPSC Civil Services 2027 or 2028, so we have the GS Foundation batch, that is Resolution P21. And you can join this batch for 2027, 2028. And if you want the maximum discount, then you can use the code BRS Live. This is a code that you can use. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me over here. But do not forget to like the session, share the session with your friends. Do comment in the comment section whatever you have liked about the session. And if you have any other doubts, that also you can comment in the comment section. That would be all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Jai Hind.